Hey everyone, Ryan here for Mr. Mom Collectibles. I'm back today with another video. Today, I'm really excited to be talking about this product, the released Hot Toys Wonder Woman WB100. This is a figure that I'm so excited about. I actually have this on order myself, so I'm looking forward to it. And I don't normally film reaction videos to figures that have been announced or released. But for this particular figure, I felt it was necessary for me to record. And I wanted to see, looking through these final production photos, what my thoughts were about it. And then what I'm going to do is when I actually get the figure in hand, I kind of want to compare what my thoughts are right now, looking at the photos. And we actually do have a couple photos of people with the figure in hand to get an idea of the packaging, how the figure is going to come. And then what I want to do is compare it to the review that I will eventually film when I have the figure in hand and kind of see if anything changes compared to seeing it on screen, just looking at photos. And also, I do have previous Wonder Woman figures, so to kind of share some of my experiences with the previous figures. So as you can see here, these are going to be the photos from the Hot Toys official Facebook page. I'm really excited for this because when this figure first got announced, it was once again, it has a lot of firsts going forward. It's the first figure with the woven hair, with the wool rooted hair. So it's very interesting to see how that's going to be. It's another figure in this WB100 line from Hot Toys. This is not part of the official quote unquote artisan series, where that's the new revamped DX series that Hot Toys is moving forward with. So this one's kind of interesting. It's kind of a straggler on its own, and it didn't make the cut as being part of that artisan series with the light side Anakin and also the Joker. But nevertheless, this is a figure that I needed to have it. I really wanted this one in the collection. So I was able to secure this figure, and I'm looking forward to getting it in hand. And looking at the photos, just browsing through, we'll take a look here. And there are some shots of this figure that I'm really blown away with. Really, you can tell they're going to be capitalizing on the rooted hair and how it has different styles to it. You can see here, like this photo, I really love this photo a lot. I actually use this as the thumbnail to the video. And you can see just using different poses, how the hair can be. That's going to be the focal point. To be very fair, this figure is what I call a Frankenstein figure. Hence why I feel like it has the quick turnaround from announcement to release. That it's using a culmination of various previous Wonder Woman components. Really, the only thing that's new is going to be the rooted wool hair, but it's using the silicone body from what looks to be the 1984 figure, which I do own that one. You have the shield and you have the sword from previous figures, and then you also have the suit. In these photos, the suit does look more like the Solo or Wonder Woman figure, or maybe even the Justice League. I don't own those figures. I personally own the Golden Armor and I own the 1984. So this will be the third Wonder Woman figure in my collection. Nevertheless, a lot of people feel that from Hot Toys' point of view only, just from Hot Toys, this is probably the best overall a culmination of Wonder Woman. Like if there was one Wonder Woman figure, this seems to be it because it has all of the accessories, it has the rooted hair, and it has a silicone body, which if you do own the 1984 Wonder Woman, I will say with the silicone body, it has a lot of weight to it. You feel like you're holding something premium compared to a regular 6 scale body that's used on all the other figures. So I do hope that they take that technology of the silicone body and use it more going forward. I know Bane has it, other figures like that. I do hope that like maybe a new Ahsoka gets that. But as I said, we're going through, and they really want to show off the hair. That's the main focal point to this. Now, there are some photos here that it looks more like a doll, not as much realistic. I could see that, but they're obviously capturing various poses, either from the first Wonder Woman movie and going on through. The one thing that I would say, which is quite interesting, is the one thing I would say which is quite interesting is I'm looking at this from the perspective of someone that owns the Wonder Woman figures. And like this is a very good example, is that the photo, the one thing about the sculpt is it really does play trickery with when it comes to photographing it. I'll leave a link up in the top of this video for my review on the Golden Armor Wonder Woman, which I did film some time ago. But I do note in that video that it was actually hard to capture the likeness of the sculpt on film when recording it. In person, it has an uncanny likeness to Gal Gadot, in my opinion, but it was rather difficult to capture that likeness on film. And that's something that has been noted by people before that have filmed reviews of that figure in the past. And I'm seeing it with this figure in the photographs. A lot of people criticize the sculpt, that it doesn't have an exact likeness to her. However, I'm confident that the likeness will be there in person. It's just that in the photos, it is hard to pick up the likeness on this sculpt for some reason. The hair also, like here, looks a lot darker, where it looks brown in some photos. So we got to be careful in terms of how much Photoshop was done to these. I do know Gal Gadot has much more darker, almost black hair, dark brown. So I'm interested to see how that plays in person in terms of how natural the hair looks. And her hair is also very curly and in a lot of areas. So to try to capture that, seeing how that comes. But I really like a lot of these promotional photos. These kind of poses here with the arm, bent back like that. Even though with the silicone body, I wouldn't leave them in dynamic poses like this, just in case it rips. Although they kind of claim that it's supposed to hold up longer than standard silicone bodies. But a lot of these photos just really look great. They're just displaying all of the accessories. And there's not much negativity that you can really say about this. Like, this is a great photo here. Like, the likeness here I think is captured really well. I really like the display base. There's a lot of things going for this figure that I really, really like a lot. I know a lot of people out there are kind of critical of the price, which I actually do understand. This figure was fetching a north of a 400 plus price tag. And a lot of people argue, you're not getting a lot of original stuff with this figure. It's really just, you're honestly for the rooted hair, and they're basically taking kind of the greatest hits and putting it together to make the Wonder Woman. Hence why the turnaround time I feel was very quick compared to the the Joker. A lot of people have some concerns about this figure in terms of the price tag on it, being north of 400 plus, because this figure is kind of a greatest hits, a culmination of, accessories used and the head sculpt from various Wonder Womans that were done previously, kind of put together to make quote unquote the ultimate Wonder Woman. And that's why I feel like the turnaround time on this was only literally a few months compared to the Hot Toys rooted Anakin Skywalker and the Joker, which are going to be about a year, because it's they're going to be higher production. This was only limited to 1,500, but I gotta say these action poses here look really great. There's a couple things I am concerned about that I saw people online talk about, which one is like the hairline, where you actually see the hair rooted into the scalp line, so to speak. Some people have zoomed in on it, said it looked a little rough. So I do want to see that in person. But like I said, I'm liking what I see here. A lot of this, there really wasn't any drop off. These photos remind me of the original photos we saw, 2, 3 months ago. So there really isn't any degradation here. Everything looks to be maintaining the same quality. I really actually like the base. I know it's going to be kind of a plastic, kind of cheap, basic novelty base. I don't normally display figures with bases, but in this case, how you see the figure in this photo is most likely how I'll probably have her displayed. Once again, I already have the golden armor in display with other figures, and I'm using my 84 Wonder Woman for my Justice League, which I currently have. So this figure will most likely be displayed with the base as you see her here. But like I said, the likeness to me, I see the likeness there of Gal Gadot. Is it a perfect sculpt? No, it's not. I'm interested to see other people who have the training armor and the solo movie, the training armor and other versions, what sculpt they used. A lot of people feel like the sculpt is from the golden armor version, possibly even the training version from the solo movie. So I'm interested to see that. I will be doing a comparison against the other two figures that I have. But as I said, there really was no drop off from the original photos that we were shown. I like everything that I see here. It really looks great. To wrap this up, though, what I'm going to do now is actually show you guys some of the photos that we got that were posted online today. There's 3 photos that are just showing how the figure actually comes packaged wise. And I'll give you my thoughts about that because it did raise some concerns. And one of them people had was I don't think they gave Hot Toys enough credit where they thought that they might attach the head to the body and basically ship the figure out like a normal Hot Toys figure. figure, but they did take some cues from InArt, which I do, I do definitely give credit to InArt for that. And Hot Toys, I think, kind of saw that and kind of took a step in that direction when it came to the packaging. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to jump over to, like, I have like 3 photos of the figure. Like I said, they're just, they're quick photos taken with a phone. But we're going to take a look at those now and give you my thoughts. So as you can see here, this was a quick photo taken of the Wonder Woman figure from someone who had the figure purchased already. And they went outside, they snapped the photo. You can kind of see the shadow there of them taking it with their phone. But one thing I'm thankful about is that they did package the head sculpt separate from the body. It looks like it's in its own clear protective case, similar to how InArt does there. So kudos to Hot Toys. I honestly don't care if they looked at InArt, credit to InArt for doing it. And if Hot Toys saw it and was like, hey, that's a smart move, we'll do the same thing. All for it. I mean, it's not no problem in doing that, in my opinion, because you do want to protect that sculpt. And then you see all the accessories laid out. Now, I do know from someone I spoke to that the box is quite larger than the 84 Wonder Woman. It's about I would say a box and a half bigger. So they are going with a little more premium packaging when it comes to this figure. It's definitely not the standard Hot Toy size box. So if you have the 1984 Wonder Woman for comparison, this box I would say is a couple inches taller than that box. I was seeing one quick photo of it, and there is a substantial difference in the box. So it is a premium feel. The other thing that I want to show you is this photo here, which is the head sculpt itself, which is encased. As you can see here, it does have, which is interesting compared to what InArt did. This is because this head sculpt has the actual, like the peg. It looks like there's a clear rod that actually inserts into the head, and there's a piece of foam on top of the skull, on top of the head, to kind of keep it in place so it doesn't rattle around from transportation, which is pretty smart. They do still have a piece of plastic that's wrapped around the sculpt there, so you can see that. And then there's another photo of it out of the box, which there you see. Now, we don't know how much maintenance was done to this. We don't know if the top case was just opened, everything was taken out, and that's how the sculpt is, or the purchaser, played around with the sculpt a little bit before snapping a photo. That we do not know. I do know that, it is expected that you do have to work with the hair. I don't, I'm not expecting to open this up and just be able to pop it right on the figure. It's going to be perfect. There's going to be work that needs to be done to sculpt this the way that you want, to get the hairstyle the way you want. Now, one thing that I am a little critical about that I hope Hot Toys takes into consideration moving forward is that they switch out and go to magnetic head sculpts like they did with previous DX figures, like the Darth Mauls, things like that. The reason why I say that, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is just me, something that I see. If you're a Hot Toys collector and have multiple figures in your collection, there definitely comes out one figure that, for some reason or another, it's a little more strenuous to put the head sculpt on, especially if it's a figure that has, let's say, a helmet and you're swapping off the head sculpt for a helmeted version. And then you go to put one on. Sometimes it just depends on the figure you get of that run, that the head sculpt is a little more difficult to pop onto the bolt joint. So you might need to use a little extra force. I know for me, personally, Bo-Katan had that issue when I put her helmet on for some photos and swapped it out to the head sculpt. I had a little difficulty where I had to apply a little extra pressure to make sure the head sculpt was popped on until I heard that click and was good to go. So the one thing I would like to, which would be really cool, is if, let's say, you have this sculpt here from Wonder Woman, it'd be nice, you could actually technically style this sculpt on the peg that you see here, so you're not touching it as much. You're avoiding a lot of contact. You could style this pretty much 90% the way you want it, and then just be able to magnetically lift it and pop it onto the figure, and then just do a little bit of cleanup and present it on the body how you want. I can definitely see there being some posts from collectors or owners of this that go to move the sculpt and have to put it on the body and use a little extra force to put that on. I'm not saying it's going to happen to everybody, but I think having the head sculpts be magnetic will solve a lot of headaches in the future, to make the transition a lot easier. So that's something that I hope that is considered. I don't think that was touched on with the Anakin or the Joker, but like I said, I hope that's something going forward that they would take into consideration. I could be wrong, could get this, and there'll be no issues with it whatsoever. I'm just kind of forecasting some things that I've seen with head sculpts, and you obviously want to be as delicate with this as possible. And in my opinion, you want to limit as much contact with the hair as possible, except for just doing some styling. But you don't really want there to be a lot of aggressive, attaching to the head or connections like that. So I hope Hot Toys maybe thinks about that, especially since a lot of previous DX figures had magnetic head sculpts. And if they're continuing with that DX premium, I hope that's something that they consider with the Joker and with the Anakin. Now, the one thing about this sculpt is that it doesn't have rolling eyes. So that's another, people thought that as a negative, hence why he doesn't necessarily need the magnetic sculpt or anything like that because it doesn't have an eye rolling system. I think it still could have used one personally, but yeah, that's one downside is that it has that off look to it. Doesn't have the rolling eye system to adjust the eyes, so that's definitely a negative piece that people thought about. But this is kind of the Mark One, I consider this, of the rooted hairs going forward. Yes, it didn't fall under the DX Artisan series. This is kind of a unique one-off, in my opinion, for that. And then I think things going forward, obviously, are going to be under that Artisan series, unless they do something different and do another rooted. But I kind of foresee all of their rooteds most likely being under the DX Artisan series, where you'll have the rolling eyes, things like that. So I do hope they do the magnetic head sculpts for those, just to make it easier. But anyway, guys, like I said, these are just some quick photos seeing of the sculpt. I'm really excited for this. Being someone that has this on order, I'm waiting for this thing to ship out as soon as possible. I will be doing a review on this figure, and I'll do a complete unboxing review. So what I'll do is when I review it, I'll film it live, well, on my camera, but there'll be no quick cut breaks from it. I'll film it from start to finish of me opening it from the shipper all the way through, so you can see what this figure looks like, and the unboxing experience. So that way you could see that when that case is unopened, what does that sculpt look like when the foam is removed, the clear wrap is removed, and how much work does it take to get the hair sculpted the way that it needs to be. So be on the lookout for that. If this is your first time watching, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if you want to see that Wonder Woman review. Make sure to like the video and drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I know it's kind of torn. People think it's not worth the value. To be honest with you, I'm really still excited for the figure, and I'll let you know. Do I think it's worth the value of what the figure was, or was it overpriced? We'll see what it is. But I'll give you my honest feedback when I do the review on it. I'm excited to get it in hand. But like I said, drop a comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.